Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of First Chapter. This week I'm going to be reading the first chapter of The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek. It's by Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal. You may know them by their popular YouTube morning show, Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link. Yeah, these are the same guys. They write books. They're awesome. I love Rhett and Link. I love Good Mythical Morning, and I love this book. So I'm very excited to read it for you guys. So let's get started. As usual, I'm going to be skipping the prologue because I want you guys to be able to read that for the first time when you check out this book. All right, so the first chapter. Though Rex McClendon knew that he and his best friends were about to attempt something audacious, he never could have anticipated the Category 5 suck storm that would spin out from the next hour of his life. As he scanned the crowd for Leaf and Alicia, his dad's camcorder heavy in his backpack, the muggy August day hit its first sour note as Rex realized he'd forgotten to put on deodorant. He stuck his nose under the collar of his No Fear t-shirt to get a sense of exactly how dire things were. It was awful. Almost horse-like. "Stop smelling yourself in public, sweetie," Martha McClendon whispered. "People are staring." Rex pulled his nose out of his shirt. If his mom thought this was bad, she was going to hate his plans for the afternoon, which hinged entirely upon people doing just that, staring. "Let's see if we can find your father," Rex's mom led him through the masses gathered by the parking lot of the old strip mall in Bleak Creek, North Carolina, pragmatically named the shopping center. It was home to a majority of the local economic powerhouses: Piggly Wiggly, CB's Auto Parts, The Fish Fry, Thomble & Sons Hardware, Morris Coin Laundry, and the living testament to Bleak Creekians' year-round appetite for celebrating Jesus' birthday, Kate's Christmas Cave. Every few steps, Rex and his mom returned the customary polite smiles and heys doled out by familiar faces. His shoulders tensed up as they made small talk about the weather with Sheriff Lawson, whose mirrored aviators and perennial look of disapproval did nothing to stem the mounting feeling that maybe his dad's camera should stay zipped in his backpack. There was still no sign of Leaf or Alicia. They arrived at a massive barbecue smoker resting in front of the laundry. In Bleak Creek, it didn't take much to justify cooking a pig. Today's excuse was a Second Baptist Church fundraiser to replace the copper pipes that had been stolen from the church's organ for the second time. It had happened just 6 years before, too. Everyone knew who had taken the pipes. Wendell Brown again. And everyone knew why: to fund his cough syrup addiction. But in a way, people were appreciative because it had been 3 weeks since the last pig pickin'. Rex spotted his dad in his usual white shorts about 10 feet from the barrel-shaped smoker, staring at the grill master, Wayne Whitewood, with a combination of awe and resentment. Whitewood and his mane of perfectly coiffed white hair were beloved in Bleak Creek for many reasons, one of which was his opening of the Whitewood School, a reform school for wayward youths, in 1979. The school was seen as a primary reason Bleak Creek had made it to 1992 unscathed by the devil music and crack pipes that plagued the big cities. That alone would have cemented Whitewood's status as a pillar of the community, but he was also considered to be one of the town's premier pork gurus. Rex's dad had worked hard on his own barbecue stylings for the better part of a decade, but he'd never been bestowed the great honor, the highest a Bleak Creek man could receive, being asked to cook a pig for a town event. "I think it's because I'm a mortician," he'd say. "People don't like the idea of me touching people than pigs." Steve McClendon was the owner and operator of the McClendon-McClemon Funeral Home, formerly known as the McClemon Funeral Home. When Martha's father, Mac McClemon, died in 1984, Martha had convinced Steve to move the family back to her childhood hometown and try his hand at the funeral business. The result, a funeral home with a name few locals could correctly pronounce on the first try. Today's choice for chef was a no-brainer, as Wayne Whitewood was also Second Baptist's organist, the player of the very instrument for which this entire event had been planned. "We gotta get Whitewood his pipes back," said Mary Hadaway, the secretary at Second Baptist, a thin woman with highlighted hair that spiked in the back, giving her an unintentional resemblance to Sonic the Hedgehog. She repeated her mantra as each new person arrived at the pay table, raising one bony fist in the air. "Picking up any tips?" Rex said, attempting to break his father's trance. "Huh?" Steve said, recoiling as if Rex were a door-to-door salesman before realizing it was his son. "Oh, no, not really. I know most of these techniques already." "Right, of course," Rex said. It was unclear what techniques his dad was referring to, as Whitewood was just sitting there reading the Bleak Creek Gazette while the grill did its thing. "You ready to join us, honey?" Martha asked Steve. "You're probably making Mr. Whitewood nervous." "Oh, it don't bother me," Whitewood said, surprising all three McClendons, who hadn't realized he was listening. "I'm flattered you care that much." He returned to his paper. "Let's go, Steve," Martha said. "Nice to see you, Wayne," she lied. "You take care now," Whitewood said without looking up, turning a crumpled newspaper page. "Yes, sir," Steve said. "You too. Can't wait to eat your meat." Wayne Whitewood shot his ice blue eyes at Steve without moving his head from the paper, staring at him for a few uncomfortable seconds. Despite his small stature, Whitewood was remarkably intimidating. He seemed to be waiting for Steve to correct himself. Rex's dad took the bait and stammered, "Well, the meat, the barbecue." Whitewood's mouth cracked a smile, his eyes unchanged. Martha grimaced and tugged Steve's arm as Rex put a guiding hand on his back. "What was that?" Martha whispered to Steve once they'd put distance between themselves and the grill. "I don't know, I'm just trying to make a connection," Steve's shout whispered back. Yeah, I think he definitely got that impression. Rex was glad his parents were distracted by their own drama, as it meant they'd be slower to notice the carefully manufactured drama he was about to shoot, using all the fundraiser attendees as unsuspecting extras for the film he'd been making all summer with Leaf and Alicia. He again checked the crowd for his collaborators, wondering if Leaf would have a speed stick in his bag whenever he showed up. It wasn't impossible. Leaf was always bragging about how prepared he was. Probably the more appropriate question, though, even if he did have some, would he let Rex use it? Leaf could hardly share a can of Mellow Yellow. No way he'd okay indirect armpit contact. Rex gave himself another sniff, hoping that the proximity to the smoker might have helped to mask his odor. Nope, it actually smelled worse. "All right, folks," CB Donner of CB's Auto Parts said into a staticky microphone. "It looks like Chef Whitewood will be plating up some of this heavenly pork in a matter of minutes, so get your bellies ready. And once we chow down, it'll be auction time." Ever since CB and his wife Diane had divorced earlier that year, he'd made a point of emceeing as many town events as possible. "I'd also like to take a moment to remind all you ladies out there that my store's got a sale on our air fresheners, and we just got a new scent in. It's called Pink Swan. Come by and smell of it all you want." He pointed down to his neck where he was wearing one of the air fresheners as a necklace. True to the name, it was a pink swan. Rex wondered if it would solve his own scent problem. "Hey, you ready?" a voice asked from behind him. He turned to find Leaf Nelson, at last, standing there in a white t-shirt and a clip-on tie, with his dog Tucker leashed next to him. "Hey," Rex said, "where you been?" "Sorry I'm late. I was getting Tucker ready for his scene." "What does that mean?" "Like I was prepping him, getting his mind in the right place." "I still don't understand." "That's because you don't have a dog." "Oh, hey, Leaf," Rex's mom said, smiling for the first time all day like she meant it. "Nice to see you, Miss McClendon, Mr. McClendon." "Good to see you too," Rex's dad said, rubbing Tucker's furry head. "Those specs are looking sharp." Leaf had been wearing glasses for several months now, but Rex's parents had made a habit of complimenting him like they thought he was insecure about them. "And I like that tie," Rex's mom said, pointing to the clip-on. "Oh, thanks. It's for our..." Leaf was about to say movie until he saw Rex staring him down. "Fundraiser. Well, not our fundraiser, but this fundraiser that we're all attending now." "Well, okay." Rex's mom had gotten used to her son and his best friend saying inscrutable things. "Is your mom coming by?" "No, ma'am, she's at work," Leaf said. His mom had 3 jobs, which meant Leaf was usually on his own. Rex loved this, as it meant Leaf was always around to hang, as had been the case that whole summer. "Looks like folks are starting to sit down," Rex's dad said, wiping sweat from his bald head with his black and white McClendon-McClellan funeral home handkerchief and pointing to the 2 people who had taken a seat. "Shouldn't be long now till we eat." "Hey," Rex said to Leaf under his breath as they walked toward the tables, "you got any deodorant on you?" "Any what?" "Deodorant." Rex looks around to see who was listening, realizing that maybe he wasn't so different from his mom after all. "Why?" Leaf asked. "Like, to use." "You want to use my deodorant?" Yes, I do." "Oh." Leaf stared at Rex as if seeing him for the first time, like he'd just discovered some long-buried truth about the best friend he'd known since he was 6, or maybe he'd just inhaled. "No. You think I just carry deodorant around with me?" Rex said nothing as he began to absorb his fate for the rest of the day. "And even if I did," Leaf continued, "I probably wouldn't let you use it. Unhygienic. No offense." "Excellent, thanks," Rex said, shaking his head. His parents sat down at one of the tables, but Rex and Leaf stood a short distance away where they could plot their film shoot out of earshot. "Alicia's still not here?" Leaf asked. "Nah," Rex said. "Or if she is, I haven't seen her." "Even when I'm late, she's even later," Leaf complained. Alicia Boykins had completed their friend trio when she'd moved to Bleak Creek in 3rd grade. During recess on her 2nd day at school, she'd asked Rex and Leaf if she could get in on the drawing contest they were having. They'd given her a skeptical, okay, and told her she'd have to draw fast because they were almost done. "That's not a problem," Alicia said, taking a multi-pointed rainbow pen from her pocket and, within minutes, busting out a picture of a smiling girl clutching 3 human heads in each hand. Rex and Leaf had looked down at their own creations, a dragon wearing a beret and a half-turtle, half-bear respectively, and realized they'd found a friend even weirder than they were. "She'll be here, don't worry," Rex said. "The whole point is that the scene takes place at an outdoor event," Leaf said, "so we need to shoot before it's over." "We'll be fine," Rex said, unzipping his backpack and taking out the camcorder. "We still gotta figure out, what's up, fellas?" Rex and Leaf turned around to see Mark Hornhat next to them, in his usual polo shirt and khaki shorts and smelling like he had just showered in eternity by Calvin Klein. "Oh, hey," Rex said, trying his best to seem enthusiastic. "You guys ready for some Q?" Rex and Leaf shrugged. Hornhat was one of those guys they probably wouldn't be friends with if they lived in a bigger town and had more options. He lived in Heath Hills, an affluent gated section of Bleak Creek, and for Rex and Leaf, he served as a walking representation of why being rich wasn't all it was cracked up to be. "I'm not going to make too much money when I get older," Rex had once said. "Don't want to turn into Hornhat." "Can't believe freshman year's starting soon," Hornhat said. "High school, amigos." "Yeah," Leaf said, swallowing so loudly it made a sound. He and Rex hadn't explicitly talked about it yet, but Rex knew they were both pretty nervous about high school. "What's the camera for?" Hornhat asked, gesturing towards Rex's hand. Rex raced to form the word "nothing," but Leaf spoke first. "Our movie," he said. Rex sighed. He had come to despise talking about their movie with other people since it always seemed to suck the magic right out of the whole thing. He knew telling Hornhat would be no exception. "Whoa, cool," Hornhat said. "What's it called?" "Polter Dog," Leaf said, stroking his dog's back. "Tucker's the lead." Hornhat squinted at them. "So it's part chicken, part dog?" "No," Rex said, tempted to hit Hornhat with the camcorder, whack-a-mole style. "Then why is it called Poultry Dog?" "It's not," Leaf said. "It's Polter Dog, about a ghost dog, like Poltergeist, but without the geist, and instead a dog." "Oh," Hornhat said, finally getting it. "You should just call it Ghost Dog. That's cooler." "If by cooler you mean super obvious," Rex said. This was the exact conversation they'd had with at least 10 other people, though somehow it was worse with Hornhat. "Wrap it up, Hornhat," Alicia said, appearing next to Leaf as if out of nowhere. "We got a movie to make." Rex had to hand it to Alicia. She was always late, yet somehow her timing usually ended up being perfect anyway. Hornhat seemed to hurt for a moment before deciding to be amused instead. "Whatever, Boykins," he laughed. "But seriously, man," Alicia said, "we do have to start shooting." "Okay, yeah, no problem. I was on my way to get a root beer anyway." You enjoy that now, Alicia said as Hornhat wandered away. This was one of her greatest strengths in life. She could get away with saying things to people that Rex and Leaf would never utter in a million years. Hey, losers, she said, throwing an arm around Leaf's neck and messing up his hair. Hey, Rex said. You're late, Leaf said, but he was smiling. What's that smell? Alicia asked, brushing a swath of dark curls away from her forehead. Barbecue, Rex quickly answered. Rex forgot to put on deodorant, Leaf said. It happens, Alicia said, mockingly pinching her nose and smiling at Rex. Somehow her blunt acknowledgement of his stench made him stop worrying about it. So what's the plan? Have you figured out how to get Tucker to chase me yet? Leaf raised his eyebrows and smiled, reaching into his backpack. His hand emerged holding a large plastic bag. What's in there? Alicia asked. I present to you the bacon belt. Leaf pulled out what looked to be a wad of greasy bacon tied together with fishing line. Tucker barked and lunged at Leaf, who pulled his hand away just in time. See? He loves it, Leaf said. All you gotta do is put this on and he'll chase you anywhere. You want me to wear that? Alicia asked. I'm not so sure bacon grease goes well with stonewash, she added, gesturing to her jorts. Maybe you can just put it through one loop, Rex suggested. You know, more of a bacon tail. I guess that'll work, Leaf said with a hint of disappointment. He'd obviously had big expectations for the bacon belt. Okay, perfect, Alicia said, running Leaf's creation through the back loop of her jorts, not without some trouble. A piece and a half of bacon fell to the ground, which Tucker gladly disposed of. Where's the script? Here you go, Rex said, holding out 2 lightly crumpled pieces of paper, meticulously typed with Rex's dead grandpa's Smith Corona. Let me see, Alicia said, grabbing the pages. Rex leaned over her shoulder to refresh himself on the scene he was about to direct. Exterior, outdoor birthday, party day. Jessica, played by Alicia, and her dad, played by Leaf, are at a birthday party. Dad, what's the matter, sweetheart? Aren't you excited to be at Aunt Kate's birthday party? Jessica, of course I am. It's just... Dad, you still thinking about Mr. Bones? Jessica nods, teary-eyed. Dad, I know. I wish that darn motorcycle had never hit him. Dad, I know. I wish that darn motorcycle had never hit him. Hey, here's a frisbee. Why don't you go throw it around a bit and have a little fun? Jessica, okay, Dad. Jessica walks around the party. She throws the frisbee to no one, then stops in her tracks when she sees a dog. Jessica, Mr. Bones, is that you? The dog barks twice. Jessica, oh my gosh, I knew you were still alive. Jessica runs to embrace Mr. Bones, and then he tries to pounce on her. Jessica, Mr. Bones, stop! Why are you doing this? Jessica notices that Mr. Bones now has a long white tail. Jessica, wait a second. You're not alive. You're a ghost. Ah! Jessica starts to run, weaving in and out of people. Mr. Bones chases and barks evilly. Jessica, somebody help! My dog is a ghost! She runs into the arms of Dad. Jessica, help, Dad! Mr. Bones is back and he wants to kill me! Dad looks. Mr. Bones is gone. Close up on Jessica, scared and confused. Okay, got it. Let's shoot this thing, said Alicia. Well, actually, Rex said, I just had an idea. If we wait to shoot until lots of people are sitting down, we can get a really good reaction shot from them. Yeah, that'll be perfect, Leaf said. Though they were practically brothers at this point, Rex still felt proud when Leaf complimented one of his ideas. In that quiet moment after they say the blessing, Alicia will come by screaming with Tucker on her heels. It's going to feel so real. Plus, Alicia said, I'm going to deliver a highly authentic performance. I won't be surprised if somebody steps in to rescue poor Jessica from her ghost dog. Polter dog, Rex and Leaf corrected her in unison. Alicia nodded and winked. Right, polter dog. It won't be long before people all across North Carolina are saying that. The 3 of them looked at each other, their excitement palpable. The deadline for the Durham Film Festival was in 3 weeks, and though it would get a little trickier to find time to shoot, not to mention edit, once school started, they were still on track to get Polter Dog finished and submitted just under the wire. All right, great, Rex said. So let's save the dialogue for later and start with Tucker chasing Alicia. Rex, sweetie, Martha interrupted. Are y'all gonna sit down and join us? Oh, Rex said. Yeah, Mom, in a second after they actually serve the food. We, just have to film a quick shot for our movie. He knew it would be wise to give some kind of heads up so it didn't seem like he was trying to pull one over on him. Now? Here? It'll be really quick. People probably won't even notice, Rex said unconvincingly. We've talked about this, son, his dad said. You need to spend less time on your little movie and more time practicing so that you're ready for basketball tryouts. I know, Dad, Rex said, a tightness settling in the pit of his stomach, like he was 6 years old again and had just wet the bed. But it's not like I could practice here anyway. You can practice your defensive stance anywhere. His dad dropped into a squat and stretched his hands out to his side. It's fine, Rex's mom said, breaking the tension. As long as you sit down with us once you're... Oh, hey, Alicia. Rex watched his mom's mouth twist into a manufactured grin that Martha McClendon offered to people she had reservations about. Didn't see you there. How are you, hun? She didn't dislike Alicia, but she definitely liked Leaf more. She'd once said to Rex that she didn't trust girls who make so many jokes. It hadn't helped that Alicia had been caught earlier that summer pulling down the pants of every mannequin in the display window of the Belk department store, even though the only thing exposed was a series of smoothed, mild bulges on the androgynous dummies. The store manager, Faye Johnson, had found the whole scene so scandalous that she'd fainted, toppling over a pyramid of pantyhose. Word had spread pretty quickly throughout town that Alicia Boykins was to blame. Excellent, thanks, Miss McClendon, Alicia said. We're gonna go get ready for this quick shot, Rex said, leading Leaf, Alicia, and Tucker, Leaf holding tight to Tucker's leash as he pulled and licked his lips at Alicia away from the picnic tables. Hungry Bleak Creekians had already filled the seats and were patiently waiting for Pastor Jingle of Second Baptist to say grace, giving them the green light to gorge themselves on pig parts. Rex surveyed the area, holding up his hand in the shape of a box like he'd seen Martin Scorsese do in a picture from the set of Goodfellas, a movie he and Leaf had watched after sneaking in the exit of the Twin Plaza Theater 2 years before. Rex still had the occasional nightmare where he was laying in a trunk and Joe Pesci would open it up and begin stabbing him. He never told Leaf. All right, Rex said with a firm nod, trying to seem like he'd had some directorly epiphany. I'll stay over there, just past the tables, and you guys head all the way back over there toward the parking lot entrance. As soon as Pastor Jingle finishes saying grace, I'll throw up my hand and you'll start running. I'll have Tucker by the collar until I see your signal, Leaf said. Right, then Tucker will run, and Alicia, you'll be screaming and saying your line. Yep, Alicia said. All right, C.B. Donner's voice crackled through the sound system. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Chef Whitewood, if you please. C.B. pointed to Whitewood, who, with a flourish, lifted the cover of the grill. His glorious pig hath been cooked, C.B. said to cheers from the crowd. I'd like to introduce Pastor Jingle and our special guest today, Pastor Mitchell from First Baptist. They're going to say grace together. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Pastor Mitchell's presence was notable, seeing as a main tenet of the Second Baptist Church was the silent judgment of congregants of the First and vice versa, to which Rex and his family belonged. No one could remember why it had once seemed so necessary to start another church, especially one that held the same precepts as the first, but that did little to temper the hushed rivalry. In fact, Whitewood's barbecue was likely the only reason that so many firsters had shown up and donated $6 to an organization they despised. This surprise tag team blessing may have been Second Baptist's way of thanking them for coming, or it may have been more about establishing a subtle yet united front against the Presbyterian church that had just been built outside of town. Either way, no one had seen this level of cooperation between Pastor Mitchell and Pastor Jingle since they both insisted that Bleak Creek High School chorus not perform John Lennon's Imagine at their regional competition. We gotta go, or we'll miss our moment, Rex said, trying not to be thrown by the dual prayer, or by Sheriff Lawson, who he'd noticed standing by the tables, his hands rubbing his bulbous gut like he was preparing his stomach for the imminent feast. Shooting a movie in public without a permit wasn't an arrestable offense, was it? And so, Pastor Mitchell went on, we are so blessed to be here together, First Baptist and Second Baptist, joined as one as we consume this delectable bit of sustenance together in Jesus' name. There it was, go time. Rex's hand was already in the air when Pastor Jingle, clearly desperate to get the last word, began to speak some more. Yes, in Jesus' name, we now bless our food, and the Lord hears us, and he likes what he hears. Seriously? How many blessings were there going to be? Rex yanked his hand down, but it was too late. Leaf had released Tucker's collar, and Alicia was already sprinting and screaming. Rex wanted to explain his mistake to the crowd, but he had no choice but to keep filming. Sure, the three of them would probably get in more trouble than they'd anticipated. That was very clear when he panned over to the dozens of confused, angry faces staring at Alicia. Perfect reaction shot. But really, there was something even more authentic now. Tucker's powerful barks forcing the pastors to stop speaking. "Somebody help!" Alicia shouted. "My dog is a ghost!" Her voice pitched higher on the last word, and it was gold. She'd completely nailed it. But Rex's triumph turned to concern when he saw that Tucker's performance was almost too convincing. His pursuit of the bacon tail transforming him into a seemingly rabid dog, inciting what looked like genuine terror in Alicia. Rex instinctively took his eye off the lens and saw Leaf already in a full sprint to retrieve his dog, his panicked face wider than Tucker's fake tail. "Now what's this all about?" Pastor Jingle said into the microphone. "You've got some nerve interrupting the pastors," a man with a goatee and a Garth Brooks t-shirt shouted at them, which inspired similar reprimands from others. "It was an accident," Rex wanted to shout, but he didn't want to taint the incredible take he was getting. He put his eye back on the lens in time to see Alicia zigging and zagging away from Tucker, whose age of 84 dog years was the only thing keeping him from closing the distance to Alicia and chomping the bacon lure. Rex figured he'd give it another few seconds before stepping in. Leaf wasn't on the same page. "Tucker!" he shouted. "Tucker, sit!" The collie, laser-focused on the prize, did not slow down. Then Leaf, apparently sensing the limits of human language, began making wild movements and animalistic sounds to get Tucker's attention, which only kind of worked. He had, however, in an impressive display of newfound post-pubescent speed, caught up with Tucker. Left with no other options, Leaf awkwardly tackled his companion, who let out a startled yip. Alicia looked back mid-sprint, which was why she didn't notice that all of her zigging and zagging had put her on a collision course with Wayne Whitewood, who was standing next to the open grill ready to serve some pig plates. "Watch out!" Rex shouted, for some reason still looking through the camera. It was too late, though. Wayne Whitewood tried to sidestep the curly-haired hellion heading his way, but upon hearing Rex's warning, so did Alicia. She plowed directly into Whitewood, sending him reeling sideways, his sweat-covered torso landing on the cooked pig. He caught himself on the still hot metal bars of the grill, searing his bare hands with a sickening hiss. Whitewood let out an uncharacteristic shriek, followed by a long guttural moan. The crowd, stunned into silence, could have heard the faint sizzle of melted pig fat falling into the hot coals if it weren't for Whitewood's oscillating between gasping and groaning, now coupled with Alicia's repeated apologies. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Whitewood. So sorry," Alicia cried. Whitewood continued to breathe heavily, trying to gather himself. A crowd of about a dozen people, including Sheriff Lawson, had sprung into action and now clustered around the wounded man. Leggett Shackelford, a tall, wide man, as the owner of the only other funeral home in town, was also Rex's dad's arch nemesis, put an arm on Whitewood's shoulder, then turned to Alicia. "You, young lady, are out of control," he yelled, his oversized mustache jumping up and down. "What possessed you to do such a thing?" demanded Mary Hathaway, who had also come to Whitewood's aid. Rex was incredibly grateful that he was still filming, but the gravity of what was happening to Alicia quickly overshadowed his enthusiasm for Polterdog. This wasn't good. It was an accident, sure, but Rex knew it wouldn't make a difference to everyone who'd witnessed it. The crowd began to escort Whitewood to his nearby Ford Super Duty truck, perching him on the tailgate where he held his red, blistered hands. Rex turned off his camera and ran to Leaf and Alicia, who both looked shell-shocked. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I didn't mean to do it," Alicia said. "I'm sorry," Leaf said, staring at the ground. "I underestimated Tucker's enthusiasm." "Oh, tell me you got the shot," Alicia said to Rex. "Oh yeah, I got it. It was awesome. You were awesome." "What in the world were you doing?" Rex's mom asked as she rushed over to them. She was as angry as he'd seen her in a long time. "Interrupting Grace like that. Have you lost your mind? And Mr. Whitewood is hurt," she spun to Alicia. "Are your parents here?" Alicia looked every bit as terrified as she'd been when Tucker was chasing her. "No, ma'am." "Well, I'm going to call him as soon as I get home," Martha threatened, and then headed toward Whitewood to survey the damage her son and his friends were responsible for. Sirens cut through the air as both Bleak Creek ambulances pulled up to the sawhorses blocking Main Street. EMTs hopped out of the back and started rushing toward Whitewood. "I think I might be in a lot of trouble," Alicia said. Whitewood was quickly wheeled into one of the ambulances, conscious and alert and waving to the crowd. "Nah, he looks totally fine," Rex said. "You have nothing to worry about." "Yeah," Alicia said, but she didn't sound convinced. Rex wasn't convinced either. All right, you guys, that is the first chapter of The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek by Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal. Definitely check out this book. It is a super good read. Like I said, I've read it myself. I own this book. It is awesome. So put it on hold, check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week. Bye.